Paltrocast.
Joel, Luke, Luke, Joel. I don't know what the correct order is. What's the correct order here?
Traditionally, it's Joel, Luke, just because I'm the older brother, you know, and I have a bit more of an ego, so I need to be out front.
Or it depends who you meet first, because then you're just always working backwards from that. You know, Luke and Joel. That's how I can tell if somebody's more on my side. If they're like, yeah, so Luke and Joel are going to be here, I'm like, oh, these people like me a little more.
Fun fact, Darren, before we were for King and Country, we actually had the very creative band name of Joel and Luke. We were the first Dan and Shay.
Yeah, I mean, the greatness just, it's evident, but I don't want to waste any more time because most times when I'm doing an interview, it's like, what can you really talk about with these people? In your case, there's a new music video, which is visually stunning. I don't know how many artists can properly film in the desert like that and it's not green screen. So that's one. Number two, the deluxe version of the album. Number three, one of you is, you know, just sold a film that's being directed, just that little thing. And then number four, just this, you know, arena tour where the small shows is 3 nights at the Grand Ole Opry. I mean, you guys are just so boring and there's nothing going on, right?
You just covered everything right there. Hey, great interview. Thanks so much, Darren. We feel better about ourselves.
Well, the first thing, the music video, when did you actually film it?
Man, it came together super quickly, actually. We had this single that's had a lot of twists and turns. We were going to have features on it at some point because we love featuring, and then the 11th hour we needed to shift gears, and so it just became us again. And then obviously that opened up the conversation of, well, it's much simpler to do a music video when it's just you. So it was the day before Memorial Day. So what's that, like May 28th? Yeah. We were in Edmonton, Canada, fulfilling a COVID tour that had been bumped 3 years late. And Caden Tooley, who you just met a moment ago, was sitting catering, and we did the kind of pseudo napkin, you know, conversation of like, hey, we should, the whole theme of this album is the desert nomads, wasteland type, you know, allegory. What if the culminating single, which is actually the title track, you know, culminates where we started in the desert? And so we actually took, if you look in the liners of the CD, there's sort of a monologue that is read through, and we kind of took that as a storyline inspiration for the music video. And in 10 days, bro, in 10 days, we went from concept to production. Director of photography, you know, those are Waterworld outfits primarily that you're seeing there. Good old Kevin Costner.
From, I think it was labeled the greatest flop of all time.
Yeah.
We like their costumes.
You're right about that. I remember growing up as a kid that Waterworld was talked about as being this big flop, but it gets a reboot. You're paying homage to it. So I think it recouped in the long run.
Oh, I think it will have.
You know what? I think the $1,000 that we paid for those costumes, you're exactly right. They're going to be in the black in 2,300.
So at any rate, we were really sort of, it was magnificent how it all came together. And also, so we shot it on June, I think the 8th. Everything, the weather was, it rained in the desert before we showed up. So it was cool. You know, God was on our side that day. So we're really thrilled with how it turned out naturally.
You should be thrilled with something that sounds great, looks great, etc. And then onto the deluxe album. The collaborations. Now, this one does not have the collaboration with Echo Smith, who I recently interviewed, but I can't think of a lot of artists who'd be at home collaborating with Echo Smith and Kirk Franklin and Hillary Scott, etc. So my question is, how many of these collaborations that you pursue actually happen? Is it like a 1-for-1, or you just make a wish?
Great question.
That is a great question.
I would say it's 1 for 8.
It depends.
What?
So okay. Well, I'll give you examples.
That's a lot, man.
Hillary Scott, Love Me Like I Am. Excuse me, Hillary Scott, For God Is With Us. We were on her podcast, on her Apple podcast. We had collaborated on something else last year as well. Seen each other at an event. We were just fans. That was 1-for-1.
Yeah.
Love Me Like I Am. We had a really hard time finding the right fit. And so that, I'm not going to go into the gory details, but that was not 1-for-1. But the funny thing is, the right people end up landing in the right spot. Like Jordan was perfect for that song. Like her heart, just her essence,
her vocal ability,
obviously, like she was fantastic. And so you just trust the process. But man,
yeah,
you're gonna
pitch it a few times.
You're no stranger to rejection. Neither are we. It's just you got to keep asking. It's funny. I was talking last night because we'd asked for another song. We'd asked actually for What Are We Waiting For? We'd asked Bono from U2 to feature on it. And he was so kind. He sent us 2 really sweet messages back, asked us to the Spheres show. So we're going to take him up on that offer. But we've never felt better about getting rejected than we did by Bono. That was a good moment.
Most of the time it comes from friendship at the end of the day, which is kind of fun. Sure. You kind of reflect on just relationships that you build as young men. As you go on into life, a lot of those relationships that's right. They just continue to kind of to grow. So those are honestly the best ones because you trust their character, you trust who they are. In some cases, the moment you start venturing out too much, it gets into a land of unknown. You're like, I hope that
A friend of mine who co-writes and produces a lot of hits for people told me that whenever it's management to management, the song never makes the album. But when it's artist to artist, it always happens.
That's right. He's right. He is absolutely
I remember one time, we can move on for it. I was calling Matt Hales, Aqualung, who's a close friend and one of our kind of producers throughout our whole career. And I was like, man, why do I have to always be the one? And he lives in Bath, England. He's very Pommy accent. He was like, Joe, it's just, you're the artist. That's what you do. It needs to be artist to artist. And I'm like, man.
We have some examples of working with some, big name producers. And we would go work with these guys and the song wouldn't even make the album.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah. Anyway,
it's crazy.
So there you go. For your posthumous box sets, it might make that. So never say never with all of that. Well, 2 quick questions and then I let you go. And the first one, hopefully this is a good question. Unsung Hero, will it be a soundtrack from your group? Will your group be on the soundtrack? Any ideas?
Yeah, man, you asked the right questions at the right time and you have great intuition. We're actually, this fall, we're not touring and we're really going into, we're doing an Inspired By project for the movie. And there will be some originals on there. We're going to do some covers, which we've never done in our lives that kind of go through the 90s era of music. And so hopefully it'll just be kind of a fun, because a lot of times when you're doing studio albums, there's a lot of weight to the originality of it, the songs, what you're going through, how you're explaining things. This gives us a little bit of a moment to write some really, hopefully, powerful and personal songs, but also then to just have some fun with some songs. We're like, hey, the era that this film is talking about, these were the songs that meant a lot to us, and let's put them on our soundtrack.
Fun fact for features, going back to the feature question, we literally asked directly Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith, who are kind of royalty in the Christian gospel community, to feature on the album because they have 2 of their songs are actually in the picture. So, and they have given us a pseudo green light. So, and there'll be Rod Stewart. We're covering a Rod Stewart song on there. I think we're covering a Johnny Farnham. You might not know that name, but Johnny.
Oh,
Farnham,
I know Australian royalty, Johnny
Farnham.
Yeah, there you go. Look at this.
So you're the voice from John Farnham.
They're going to remake that.
Love that song. Nice.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Well, the last question before I let you go, really random one. And I like to ask this to people from Australia. Are either of you Van Halen fans?
Well, before we get to that, I need to say that, just as far as the soundtrack is concerned, just for your viewers and your listeners, what Darren's hinting at is we just worked on a 90s true story kind of biopic drama about an Australian immigrant family moving continents. A mom, circles around the mom, 6 kids, 1 on the way. Her husband had lost everything on a job that went bad in Australia, and they move all the way to Nashville, Tennessee, and start over, and all kind of the tragedies and triumphs. It's our parents' story. Just got picked up by Lionsgate and releases theatrically on April 26th, which Darren happens to be our parents' wedding anniversary. 49th wedding anniversary. You can't write that.
Hey, here's the other thing. We didn't pick that date. Lionsgate did, which is pretty crazy that they picked the date
They done. I
That's
don't think anyone knew. Actually, I was talking to Mum, and she was like, that's our wedding anniversary, right?
What a gift.
Anyway, Van Halen. Yeah, sure.
I just like the Australian stereotype. You have to like the band Kiss, but Kiss discovered Van Halen. So I like to figure that one out.
Yeah, I think that when you say yeah, that sounds insulting to Van Halen, because it's either like you're like, yeah, or you're like, not so much. And I think that if we were being totally honest, you'd have to say, not so much. No, I don't think you can say yeah about Van Halen. It's one of the other.
I appreciate Van Halen. I appreciate you're wearing a Black Sabbath shirt. I appreciate anyone who has made it at some level in music, no matter their belief system or their, political bents. Like music, it. You've dedicated your life to studying it and understanding it. Like music it's a tough world, man. And so people like Dolly Parton, who we got to feature with, is a woman who's been in the music industry
you liked
50
them
years.
From your head, not from your heart.
I liked Van Halen. And this is embarrassing. What's his most recent hit? That was like 15 years ago, but nonetheless, it was like later.
Yeah, the song on the Twister soundtrack, Maybe Humans Being the hit. Yeah.
I like that version of Van Halen. So even that is like, because that was my childhood,
You're just defending everybody that's going to watch this right now.
I'm sorry.
Well, let's steer it back towards the recap before I let you go. You got that feature film, which pays homage to the parents. You got the deluxe album, this beautiful music video, this arena tour, the soundtrack related to this thing. So luckily, us fans have a lot to look forward to in the near future. So thank you both for your time. I'm really looking forward to what's next. And please get a concert in New York in the near future. We miss you out here.
Oh, man. Hey, we just talked about that like 2 days ago. That's hilarious.
We're talking about maybe we'll just prophesy here. Maybe coming
Christmas tour.
To Christmas tour. To the...
Well, we'd love to play Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. There you go.
Paltrocast.